Welcome to A Shot of Rock. I am your host, Alex, and I am here today with Aaron of Gemini Syndrome. How you doing?
Wonderful.
I just showed him baby pictures, so of course,
Yep. What could make your day better than baby pictures?
Exactly, especially a healthy baby that was 2 months early.
Yep.
Damn it, I'm doing it again.
Already off the bat.
Already.
We didn't even get started yet.
I know. I just got so giddy though because I got that picture right when I got here. It was good news.
That's life happening though, and that's a beautiful thing.
Is.
So let that be what it is.
Exactly. Okay, so how's the tour been so far?
This is night one.
Beginning of it too.
We only have 3 shows on this run. It's a very short little stint. So far, we've driven from Los Angeles to Waterloo in an RV with no air conditioning in July.
Gross.
I think I've lost 10 pounds of weight.
I believe
just from sweating. The only relief was having the window open, a little crack in the back area of my bunk, and breathing in hot summer air in July, going through Albuquerque and Texas and Oklahoma, and then up north through Nebraska, Kansas, and now to here. So how's it going so far? Well, no one's died.
Well, that's good.
So that's awesome.
That's a
right?
positive.
No
So it's going really well.
Yes. We're on the upswing right now.
There you go. How was the tour with In This Moment and Motionless in White that you...
And Avatar.
That's
Stellar.
who the other one was.
Stellar. It was awesome. We've toured with Avatar before. I've never toured with Motionless until this time around, and we toured... In This Moment was actually the first band to ever take us out on the road, like years ago. They took us on this Southwest run. Actually, a couple of them. We worked with the same producer, Kevin Chirko. So there's kind of like, somewhat of a family vibe going on there. And the same with the Avatar guys. Like, we love those dudes. And we're definitely close to all them. So it was great, man. It was a sold-out tour. It was killer. It was 6 weeks of just sold-out shows. We had plenty of moments of, as always, like breakdowns with the vehicle and stuff. That's the Gemini curse, is that our vehicle always breaks down. So we had our issues with it, but the tour itself, the shows were amazing, and hanging out with the fans was really cool.
Was that the tour where you were hiding in the RV on the tow truck? Because they weren't supposed to know you were in there? No,
that was on... That was Drowning Pool at the end of last year.
I was going to go to that show, but then I missed it, and I was so depressed.
Hiding on the bus at the port of entry in Colorado. There had like 6 or 7 of us in there, and you can't legally tow a vehicle with people in it, right? Mm-hmm. So we broke down in Utah, and they took us. We were trying to get to Colorado Springs. We got to Grand Junction, like on a flatbed with the bus on top of it. And it was a bus we had bought, and it literally broke down the first ride, the first drive, right? Since then we have discarded of that thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the tow truck driver didn't have the proper credentials to take us across the border, so we got stuck back there for like 7 hours, and we had to just...
You couldn't even move because they would have seen it.
You can't, I think they probably knew, and they had sympathy for us or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was certainly not legal what we did.
Right.
I guess I just admitted a misdemeanor or a felony on camera or something.
I really don't think they'll care after the fact.
I don't think they have time to come after me for something like that.
No. Okay, now the most important question. Is there going to be new music coming?
Eventually.
Have you been working on any yet, or?
Yeah, we're the type of band that, like, I'm always, when I'm at home, I'm always writing. Lately I've been writing a ton of piano stuff, and I'm not sure totally how to integrate it yet, but there's definitely always ideas being thrown around. So, but we're coming up on a year of this record.
Yeah.
So it's about time to put something else out.
Because it came out early August.
August 19th last year. So we're at a place where, this will be the 12-month mark. And I would like to think that by maybe Christmas-ish that we're back in the studio doing a third record.
Do you have any major themes? Because I know in the previous albums you had kind of a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a theme this time? Is it...
Lux means light. It was like birth. Memento Mori means remember that you have to die.
Yep.
So it's kind of your acceptance of mortality, and whatever comes next will be death.
Yep.
And transformation.
Yeah. Your every single song on Memento Mori is like perfectly fit with each other. Like the lyrics never stray from one topic. You know what I mean?
There was definitely.
Did that take work in order to do that, or did you not even notice that you're doing it while you were writing?
I was definitely intended.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, we wrote that whole record more or less, I'd say the majority of it, like 70-80% of it, in a pretty short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And then we had a few songs kind of towards the end of the process that we wrote. And by that time, we had like the, how do I say this? So Kane Churko, the guy that produced it, has this metaphor that when he's making a record, we build the puzzle.
Right.
We build the outside of the puzzle first, and then we start kind of filling in the middle pieces, right? As you're building a puzzle, it makes most sense. Find the flat edges, and then find what fits into it.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, it just kind of became very natural. And thanks for driving by our interview.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't forced and it wasn't contrived. All the things that I talked about on that were things that we were either I or we were going through.
Right.
And they just seemed to fit naturally into the concept of what we were trying to talk about, you know. And I have a very distinct feeling that the third record will be no different in the sense of, like, we're talking about death. I've had 3 close deaths to me in the last month.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
And I've been burying people for 20 years, you know? And especially in the last month, having to put those people, you know, to the next place or whatever has really made me start thinking about that in a different light. As opposed to what Memento Mori is like, hey man, you're here, enjoy it, appreciate the fact that you're here. Now it's like really, it hits home when it's like, you're gonna go.
Yeah.
So now what do you really do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see where the lyrical content goes. I still want to keep it positive. I try.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be pretty dark.
Yeah. I had a similar feeling. My cousin, who I was very, very close with, she actually used to live here in Waterloo. It became very hard to come here because she ended up passing away in her early 30s. And I remember at one point I thought, I don't care if the world ends right here, right now. But then I remember right when I was thinking that, I was crying and I was holding my baby cousin, Spencer, who had just turned maybe 6 months old when she passed. Mm-hmm. No, he was 4, maybe 5 months old when she passed. And he reached up and he wiped the tear away from my eye, and I was like, nah, I take that back. I care.
Yep.
I care.
And it's funny how little moments like that can really remind you of, you know, why there's a purpose. And the purpose, there doesn't have to be like a big answer, in my opinion. It's just that you're here. Mm-hmm. You're here. I'm here. They're all here. The people that drove by were here. And somewhere intertwined in all those people's lives are a bunch of other people's lives. Yeah. And it's all kind of Indra's net, and it all connects to itself, you know? Yeah. And the purpose is simply the purpose. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. I was actually thinking about that on the way down while listening to the album again. Yeah. Like, not that I don't listen to it every day, because it's one of the few albums I have the entirety of on my phone. So I was listening to that on the way down, and I just went, I think my purpose is just to try and make people happy.
Yep.
Like, because I like that feeling.
And yourself.
Yeah. Because it makes me happy when I make other people happy. Whether it's making them laugh or giving them something.
And then it becomes cyclical.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really, I think, a simple message. I don't think there's any secret anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, I've sought out like mysticism and Hermetic philosophy and Gnostic philosophy and these kind of more esoteric religious ideas for many, many years. And what it keeps coming back to, even in the core of like true Catholicism or true Islam in some senses, is that it's just the purpose of being here to be here.
Yeah.
And do your best to
be a good person.
More or less, right? Like, not to get super religious, but I have to, because it's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
If you have the 10 Commandments, right?
Yep.
The first one is love your God with all your heart, soul, and mind.
Yep.
And then love your neighbor as yourself. Mm-hmm. Then after that, if you can do those two things, the rest of them become easy.
Yeah.
If you love the universe itself, and you know, I'm not trying to be like a Baptist Christian here or try to preach to anybody. Yeah. I'm just talking about this as a philosophy. If you love creation in and of itself, and then you love everything in creation, then you're not going to kill anybody. You're not going to steal from anybody. You're not going to commit adultery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And down the line, you're not going to do all those. It makes itself apparent.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to say what even my religion is, because sometimes I find it hard to define. But I think those are very simple principles to live by. Yeah. Where it's like,
AKA, don't be a dick.
I was going to say, don't be a shithead.
Yeah, I like shithead.
But don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't
like
be
straight
a
up, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Because eventually that affects you. You know, if you're a dick to your family's going to be a dick to you, or they're going to feel offended by that, or your friends, or whatever, whoever it might be, or your spouse, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, or whoever it might be. You know what I mean? If you're a dick, that shit's going to come back to you eventually.
People are going to start being a dick to you.
It's going to come back to you. And it sounds so simple, but it's obviously not, because there's 7 billion people here, and they all have their different concept of that, I guess. True. But
it makes sense. Like, I have no desire to hurt any living human person.
Yep.
Or animal. Like, I don't want to... That doesn't mean I don't want to eat bacon, but...
Right,
like,
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but yeah.
I did try to kill a fly today on the stage. He kept landing on my arm. It was tickling me. And I swatted at him, and my bracelet went flying.
The universe is like, no.
No, you don't kill the fly, even though you don't like bugs. All right, fair enough. But I think that just having those kind of attitudes, and really being aware of your attitude, because I think a lot of the times we're not aware of how we're treating people. You know, I can have a shit day, I can have a totally crap day. You know what I mean? And I'll take it out on somebody else. And realize pretty much immediately thereafter that, like, man, I was a total dick there and I shouldn't have been. Yeah. You know, and then I try to rectify the situation or whatever. But we're all fallible humans, you know. None of us are perfect. Yeah. At least no one I've met yet. And I've met a lot of people. I haven't met a perfect person. Anywhere from my mother to my wife to my best friends to my bandmates to... you know, people I do interviews with, like, you know, to promoters, to... Whatever, I am perfection. My bad, except for that hair flip. That was not perfect. You have to go the other way. No, you have to go back with it. Back with there we go. That was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. I just to be a smartass, I was saying perfection a lot for a while. Like, I was saying, that is perfect. That is perfection. So I'm like, I need something to call my other photography business. What am I going to... Fucking perfection photography. That's what I'm going to call it. And then I looked it up and it wasn't a thing yet. And I'm like, fuck yes. And so you took it. I did. Awesome. Yep. Now I'm off topic again. Okay. So I want to ask about some of the songs themselves. Like Gravedigger. What were your... I don't want to say intentions, but your inspirations, or what you were going through when you wrote that one? That was a very personal experience. I have struggled with depression, sadness. I've struggled with heavy drinking, especially at that time. And it was that song specifically was about like me like thinking I was gonna die.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like I thought I was gonna drink myself to death. And you know, I have some friends in the industry who go through the same thing, or who have gone through the same thing, and some who are going through the same thing. And the whole line in the chorus, "No one is coming to save you," is a very sarcastic line.
Yeah.
Because as they say when you're dealing with, sorry, I'm just going to smoke on camera. Sorry, kids, don't do this at home.
I don't care.
I know, but I do. But it was a very sarcastic line. No one's coming to save you. It's very dark, right?
Yeah.
It's very like there's no hope. You don't have the answers, but I do, right? In that moment of drunken stupor, thinking like I have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But the ultimate message of that song is that you can reach out, and that, in a sense, like we were talking earlier, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So truly, no one's coming to save you. But that doesn't mean you can't reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't express your opinion or your feelings to someone and have them try to come and offer you a helping hand, you know?
Exactly.
And ultimately, for people who, and I've known so many over the years who have whatever kind of addiction, I've seen a lot of them, whether it be, you know, a substance addiction or a mental addiction like depression, because, you know, it's the kind of the same thing in my mind. The hardest thing to do is to ask for help, you know? But coming out of that period, bury the darkness behind you, you know?
Yeah.
Not bury the darkness inside of you.
Yeah, but
bury the darkness that's inside of you somewhere over there.
Over there.
In the dirt.
Leave it there.
Yeah, and move the F on with your life, you know?
Yeah, my friend told me something like that after my cousin passed, and then some other experiences that happened. She was like, no, just feel the negative energy going to the floor. She's like, it sounds stupid, but just do it.
It's very true.
She's like, just do it. Do that every time you get angry.
Yep.
She's like, take a deep breath and feel that breath push the anger to the floor, or the hate, or the depression, or the sadness, or whatever.
They do this in Chinese Kung Fu and Qigong, right? And you picture the Qi going to your center, like, and you keep whatever's good and you expel whatever's bad, right?
Yep.
And yeah, it sounds like, to some people, probably sounds like total hippie shit.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not, man. The mind is ultimately the guide for the body. So if you're experiencing those feelings, you have to, one, accept them. You have to accept that they're happening, because if you fight it and you fight it and you fight it, then you just create the turmoil, like the tundra of those feelings, right? But if you say, okay, that's happening. I'm upset right now. I'm depressed right now. I'm sad right now. Okay, what do I do with that? Do I hold on to it? You know, and it's not to say that that's an easy practice, but that's where like meditation comes into the world, and comes into the function of the human psyche, and allows us to going back to just don't be a dick. Right?
Don't be.
Because if you're holding on to those things, you're ultimately, that's going to pop out somewhere. Ultimately, it's going to manifest itself to someone else.
Yeah.
You know, and you right, and you don't want to do that. I don't think most people want to do that. Certainly there's people in the world that like want to cause harm and want to cause negativity.
Yeah.
But I think most people don't. So those just become exercises to kind of wash the waters away.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good thing. I want to talk about my favorite song on the album, Inception. Like, where did that one come from?
That was a song written about somebody in the industry.
Oh.
I won't say who.
Oh, I wouldn't. I would probably delete it if you did.
Right. It was written about an industry person who was basically trying to tell me what to do and what to say, and straight up didn't see where I was coming from, or where we were coming from artistically. You know, and it was also kind of a half joke about the fact that I'm albino, I'm legally blind, right? So I don't see well, so you think I am blind, blah blah blah. But it was kind of a story about like, man, I've been working on this. I've been playing music for over 30 years.
Basically, like your whole life.
Literally my whole
Yeah.
life. Like since I could like stand.
Yeah.
I was playing piano and singing, and it was like, who are you to tell me anything at this point? Like, what do you do?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, who are you to say?
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like that about some people. And that's the tough part, I guess, about being an artist and being in the music industry professionally, is that you're always going to have people trying to steer you one direction or the other. And I think some of the greatest bands that ever existed and that exist today, there's something to be learned from the suits, if you will. Something to be learned.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately you have to do what you want to do.
Yeah, you can't let them take over.
No. And the minute you do that as an artist, you're losing your artistic integrity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what we call a sellout.
Yeah.
Right? So at the time, we wrote that quite some time ago, that was long before actually, that was a B-side for Lux that didn't make it to the record, so we brought it back and we reworked it. So it was years ago, but I was mad when I wrote that. I was very angry when I wrote that song, and it was kind of my big middle finger to what they were trying to have me do.
I love it. It makes me love the song even more.
I don't think my industry friends are going to enjoy me telling that story, but I don't really fucking care anymore.
I've seen so much stuff said on places that they all know. They all talk about it, even if they...
Yeah, it's not like it's a giant secret.
No, it's
like,
not.
No one has this concept that, you know, certain people from certain companies, from certain departments try to make you do things that you don't want to do, and you either submit or you defy.
Yeah.
And pretty much throughout history of humanity, defiance has released progress. You know? Yep. We didn't get anywhere by just submitting. Mm-hmm. When Galileo came out and said what he said, what do you mean that? You know? Yeah. The Earth actually is round, and it does revolve around the sun, and we're not the center
of the universe.
And now you still have flat earthers here in 2017.
We do.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Study science, kids. Stay in school.
Stay in school, please.
Or at least read books.
Or at least Google the sources of those books.
Yeah, you can read it on the internet. You don't have to physically read it, but at least study something and try to learn the science behind, you know. Mm-hmm. I think the connection between science and God is negligible. I think eventually they reconcile each other. Yeah. But that's a whole nother conversation that would take about another 3 hours.
Probably, but like, science isn't made to test the spiritual. That's not...
I think science was made to try to prove or understand the existence that we're in, which I think spirituality or religion in the deeper ends of it is the same purpose. Yeah. To try to understand your experience and try to understand why we're here, where we came from, where we're going. Mm-hmm. And I don't think science is any different than that.
No, they are the same.
In pleasure and pain.
Yup.
I just quoted my own song. I'll be here all night, folks.
I love it. Okay, next song, Say Goodnight.
That was after my thinking I was gonna die, and I was staying with Brian at his home, and we were working on all the pre-productions. Yeah. And we were doing the music, and it was really time to say goodnight to my demons and my nightmares. I just wanted to be done with the pain of my depression and all that stuff. And I remember specifically one night I was sleeping on his couch, and he had the little home studio set up in the same room, and I could not sleep, and he was up editing until 5 in the morning. Another go around, clock just waves its hands at me. And I'm laying on the couch, and he's just editing that part over and over and over and over and over and over, and it just became like deja vu after deja vu. Like, wow, I like literally wrote these lyrics, and now it's happening in front of my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was literally writing about that night. I was like, can I just go to sleep now?
Right.
Can I just go to sleep after all this? Mm-hmm. You know? That's one of my favorite songs on the record.
It's so beautiful. Like, it honestly one of the I don't want to say prettiest, but like, yeah, the most beautiful song.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's a pretty song.
It's a pretty song. It's a pretty song. I likes it.
I likes it.
I likes it.
It's pretty.
Okay, so let's go into random questions because we can. What's your favorite song to play live?
Depends on the day. Depends on my mood.
True. If you're super happy, what's your favorite song?
Probably Sorry Not Sorry at this point.
I like that one.
Yeah, if I'm happy, it's like a very kind of bouncy kind of song, but it's also a big.
I was listening to that as I left. I just listen to your guys' music all the time. Stop fangirling. Okay. I'm weird. I just go with it.
Not weird.
I left work right at the dot that I was supposed to leave so I could make it here on time, and I just listened to the music while they're all rushing to get a project done for tomorrow morning, and I'm like, don't care. I got shit to do.
Got shit to do.
Got shit to do. Let's go. And then I forget what yeah. I don't have my random questions out here because I'm awesome.
Well, that doesn't make them random if you have.
No, I know. I always have some that I stick with. Like, I'm trying to think of ones I haven't asked you because I've asked you some before. I'm gonna have to cut it out and put in like the thinking music. Yeah, exactly. Favorite venue to play at?
There's a few. I've played some really great venues. We played a place on the In This Moment tour called the Palace Theater in Albany. And you can't take any photo or video inside.
Really?
The union doesn't allow it. If you do, they fine you $10,000.
Really?
So it's super strict, but this place is beautiful. It's like very old. It's all seated. So you gotta think, this is like an In This Moment, Motionless in White, Avatar, Gemini Syndrome show.
Right.
And everyone's in chairs. It's very old school. So like, you know that they put on opera back then.
Yeah.
In the day, you know, and the vaulted ceilings are all painted like the Sistine Chapel, and you know, I'd show you pictures if I could, but obviously I couldn't.
Yeah. How does press do it? Did you guys? Was there any press allowed there?
There are.
Like, during the show?
But you have to get certain clearances to do that, and they're allowed just in the photo pit for the performances, and that's it. But if any band member is ever found, like,
even like, if your manager was down in the pit and was taking pictures of you,
only if you got clearance. So that was gnarly, but it was a beautiful place. That was probably one of the most beautiful places. The Rave in Milwaukee, the Eagles Club, is a really cool spot. It's an old. The Eagles Club is like the female version of Freemasonry. So there's all sorts of Masonic and esoteric like artwork on the walls and built into the brickwork and stuff. And that place is phenomenal. There was a place in Norfolk called the Norva. I don't even know if that's still around. I haven't played there in years, but that place was super cool. There's a ton all over the country, man. There's a ton of cool places.
I want to visit.
Definitely Spicoli's is on that list.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Video games, man.
Video games are great.
Games.
Video games. See how many names things I can pronounce incorrectly throughout today. Oh, speaking of which, I did a review for your show that was at Gabe's in Iowa City, which is very terribly lit venue. So my pictures from that show were really bad. But I made a review for that, and I also did a mini like album review for Memento Mori, and I kept going, fuck it, here, and I just had it pop up in my hand, like the name of the song, because I can't pronounce this. because of the what are they, Italian Latin names?
Oh
for
yeah,
some of
for the interludes.
Yeah, for the interludes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't say it here.
You know, neither can I.
Ooh, so I don't
that's
feel
why
bad.
that's why I have AP.
Nice. Perfect.
Yep.
I remember one, I don't remember which one it is, comes before Sorry Not Sorry. And I went, yeah, that's how I feel about not being able to pronounce that previous title name.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that whole piece was how do I say this? There's a book called I Came Upon a Pale Horse, which is where I took the line for Anonymous, right?
Yeah.
But basically, there's this whole monologue that starts in the beginning of the book talking about if you build a mountain of lies and you place one rock of truth on top of it, the mountain of lies will crumble. And so we originally recorded it that way, with AP saying it in Italian, because he's from Italy. It's his first language, and we just thought it sounded cool. And then there was copyright infringement kind of stuff. Like you can't plagiarize it. You know what I mean? You can't use it as your own. So we rewrote it. It's more or less saying the same thing.
Yeah,
you know, just in different wordage.
Just a way that you can get away with it.
I mean, more or less. But the reason we wanted to do it was because that point, that moment of truth of like, if you build a mountain of lies and you place a piece of truth on it, the lies will crumble.
Yeah.
And so we did it that way.
One band you wish you could tour with?
Deftones.
Okay.
I could name a bunch others.
If you want to. We've been talking for 32 minutes.
10 years. Tool. Did I say Deftones? 12 Foot Ninja. The Contortionist. Fire from the Gods. It's one of my new favorite bands. Those dudes are amazing.
I haven't heard of them.
Oh, look them up. Fire from the Gods.
Okay.
So we played in Birmingham, Alabama on that In This Moment run. Mm-hmm. And I was just walking around town before sound check. And I walked past this smaller venue about 2 blocks away. So that same day, there was our show. And next door was Starset, and I forget who the headliner was. So I ran into those dudes, and then I keep walking, and I come around this corner, and this dude goes, Gemini Syndrome? And yeah. And he introduces himself as the singer. He's AJ Channer from Fire from the Gods. And we got to talking, and we have some of the same industry friends. We're with the same lawyer and stuff. And so I played my show, and his set happened to be about an after hour. Ours was done. So I went and changed and went and hung out with him and watched their show. And they were phenomenal, man. It's not often that I get to a show and the Kangol comes off and the dreads come down and I headbang.
Right.
As a kid, you know what I mean? I was there as a fan at that point. It was really cool.
That's awesome, especially going in and you hadn't heard of them before. Or
I heard the name, but
okay.
I didn't know any of their music.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of on repeat since then for the last month and a half.
Nice.
I would love to go back out with Hell Yeah. I love those dudes. Those are my love those guys, you know.
They're pretty awesome.
There's a ton of bands, man, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Since I've been keeping you for so damn long, which I don't mind, I'd talk forever. I don't know if you've noticed. But let's end it with my normal one, which is, do you have any advice for up-and-coming bands?
Stay in school. Go to college. Get some grants. That's half serious, but no, for real.
But you did go to school for music, right?
And psychology, yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, if you want to do this, if you have a real passion for it, hone your craft, become good at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's one thing to be a kid and be like, I want to be in a rock band, or whatever, a reggae band. Who cares? You know what I mean? But understand that the work is going to be significant and it's going to be hard. You know, it doesn't get handed to you anymore. Like I
Yeah.
think it did to some artists back in the day, maybe 10, 15 years ago, where there was
Yeah.
like the overnight success of the money being in the industry that just doesn't exist the way it does now. So make sure that you have like a skill set. If you're a guitar player, be a killer guitar player. If you're a singer, be a killer singer. You know, and work at it, work hard, and just be prepared for a lot of adversity. And people are going to tell you what to do, you know, and you have the choice to defy them, and that might not work out so well for you in the long run. It just depends, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, look at us now. We're here 7.5 years later. We just drove 3 days in an RV with no AC in the middle of July.
Yeah.
If I didn't want this, no one in their right mind would do that.
Yeah.
Straight up. No one in their right mind would do that.
No. No.
And that makes perfect sense because I'm not in my right mind.
Me neither. High five.
So, just, you know what you want. And if you want to play music, if you want to be a professional musician, stay the course. But just be prepared to fight for it, like anything that's worth fighting for. They say in Chinese Kung Fu, they say, can you eat bitter? Can you eat the bitter? Because Kung Fu is hard.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not candy.
Yeah. I get it. Nice. Very good. Okay. Well, we'll end it there.
Thank you, dear.
That's it for A Shot of Rock. I'm your host, Alex. This has been my interview, which is super long, but it's awesome, with Aaron of Gemini Syndrome. And we'll see you at the rock show.